Hello, my friends. Hope you all had a beautiful weekend. Nothing special here, but it was very enjoyable and quite relaxing. I watched a good bit of NBA action. Enjoyed that. And when I wasn't, we had a good bit of rain this weekend, but I was able to get outside in between here and there, and was listening to some podcasts too. This weekend, I was mostly into things breath related. The other day, though, I was taking a break and I was listening to this podcast. I forgot even which one it was, and of Pete Holmes, who is a stand-up comedian. I like his podcast. I listen from time to time too, and he's also not just a stand-up comedian. He's kind of plugged into that spiritual community. He was friends with Ram Dass, and he's just very thoughtful, and he has a lot of guests besides comedy in the area of spirituality and whatever. But anyhow, he got asked a question, something about the importance of something, and I don't even remember what the question was, but he said something, and I'm just like, wow, that's just how important it was. He said, actually, if you were able to spend one day, just one day, one full day, fully engaged, fully in the present moment, living completely in the present, that would be a more fulfilling experience than adding an extra 10 years to your life. Now we won't get down and debate which one is which. Hopefully we could have both, but just the way he was talking about it and the seriousness with which he was talking about it just kind of left an impression on me, and just made me think, like, I practice meditation, I practice mindfulness, but it's like that's a practice. But how, just the wonder of being able to do that all the time, always be aware, always be mindful, always be living in the present. And that's really true living, because the past, it's like, I won't get into any of the cliches, but it is true. The past is done. It doesn't exist. The future isn't here. We don't know what it's going to be. So the only thing that's real is the present moment. And it made me think, and I had to do a little looking around because I didn't have the name of where it was from or whatever, but I happened to remember this little kind of Zen story called The Strawberry and the Tiger, ergo the title of the talk today. And I found it, and I just wanted to share this with you because it has a real beautiful message to it. Well, and of course, when I do that, my iPad doesn't want to work for me. There we go. The Tiger and the Strawberry, and I will put a link to this in the description below. The Tiger and the Strawberry, an ancient Zen story ripe for 2020. And this is on medium.com. I think I've shared readings from here before. The Tiger and the Strawberry. The following ancient story, known as a koan, K-O-A-N, from the Zen Buddhist faith tradition. I've always liked koans. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've always liked those. I find them really interesting. Offers a useful insight into 2020. A little bit old, but still pertinent. Once upon a time, as a man was walking through a forest, he saw a tiger peering out at him from the underbrush. As the man turned to run, he heard the tiger spring after him to give chase. Barely ahead of the tiger, running for his life, our hero came to the edge of a steep cliff. Clinging onto a strong vine, the man climbed over the cliff edge just as the tiger was about to pounce. Hanging over the side of the cliff, with the hungry tiger pacing above him, the man looked down and was dismayed to see another tiger stalking the ravine far below. Just then, a tiny mouse darted out from a crack in the cliff face above him and began to gnaw at the vine. At that precise moment, the man noticed a patch of wild strawberries growing from a clump of earth near where he dangled. Reaching out, he plucked one. It was plump and perfectly ripe, warmed by the sunshine. He popped the strawberry into his mouth. It was perfectly delicious. The end. Now, most of us don't like this story. Indeed, even devout students of Zen Buddhism struggle with this teaching and its meaning. Most particularly in societies heavily influenced by Hollywood, modern tastes generally run more toward the happy ending, We want the mouse to speak, perhaps offer to save the man in some magical bargain. We want the strawberry to transform the man into a bird who flies away to safety. Of course, that's all nonsense, fairy tales that can't help us. But most of all, we just can't stand the ending of The Tiger and the Strawberry. The most burning question is left unanswered, dangling. What happens to the man? Except we already know what happens to the man. Of course we do. He dies. That he dies relishing his last moments on earth is one of the possible morals of the story, if indeed Zen Kodesh koans can be said to have anything as straightforward or unambiguous. The man's situation, with tigers menacing him from all sides, hanging on for dear life from one moment to the next, is our reality. In reality, in 2020, we control nothing. We are currently clinging to a massive bowl of molten iron and shifting tectonic plates. Any stillness you might feel is a helpful hallucination provided by your human brain. In reality, all of us are hurtling through space on a giant mass held together by poorly understood physics. The very fact that we exist at all is as close to a statistical impossibility as anything you can imagine. Add natural disasters, war, and the impending heat death of the universe, and a sense of what a miracle we are begins to emerge. We really shouldn't be here at all. Considering that we are here, and considering that we really won't be around all that long, even if we die of extremely old age, should instill a profound sense of appreciation for the present moment. There is no staying off that cliff. There is no avoiding those tigers forever. The mouse of inexorable time is chewing away at our lifeline moment by moment. The only choice is whether or not we will notice, eat, and enjoy the strawberry. Because whether we enjoy or ignore it, we're still getting eaten by that tiger. The surety of this knowledge gets away from us. We get too busy anticipating the uncertainties of tomorrow and lamenting the shortcomings of yesterday. In the present moment, the knowledge that such moments are not infinite and that no additional moments are promised is with us. Getting too caught up in celebration or despair can cause us to lose sight of the fleeting nature of our lives and the importance of savoring each present moment to the fullest. Here's a little quote by Pema Chodron. Tigers above, tigers below. This is actually the predicament that we are always in terms of our birth and death. Each moment is just what it is. It might be the only moment of our life. It might be the only strawberry we'll ever eat. We could get depressed about it, or we could finally appreciate it and delight in the preciousness of every single moment of our life. Now, this is a fictitious event. Didn't really happen, never going to happen to any of us, but we can think about that moment, and that's where I like to wrestle with that cone myself. And I like to think, is it even possible for me to get to that level of mindfulness, of awareness? Because honestly, the man had no choice. If you think about it, he had no choice because he was going to die. So, well, he did have a choice, but he only had one logical choice, and that was doing what he did, although that is not the natural choice. Because, okay, let's break it down. He was going to die. He was going to get eaten. He knew this. But in that moment, he could have spent his last few moments, in agony, in some sort of a panic state, in some sort of a terrifying state, just expressing fear. But just in that moment, just for that moment, he focused on that strawberry. And that was the sweetest strawberry that any human has ever eaten in their life, in this fictitious story, of course. So, I don't know. It just kind of, like I said, I'd like to share stories like that. It just kind of got into my head for the rest of the weekend. I actually read this again on Friday. Didn't get around to doing the video until today. But, yeah, it just kind of got into my head like that. Like, can we really tune in to live and not just make it a practice, not just do it every once in a while, but really living in the present moment all the time, because that's really the only way that we're getting what I don't want to say what we're supposed to be getting, but to be getting the maximum out of life, because every moment that we are not focused on the right now, we are living in a theoretical, a fictitious, in the past, which we're A lot of times we don't even remember the past clearly, or we have these memories we think we remember. We don't remember all the details, and we don't know about the future. So if we're not living in the present, we are missing most of life. And that's something that I've been very guilty of. And even though I'm aware and even though I practice mindfulness, it's still something that I waste so many hours in my head a day. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you maybe took something for yourself out of it, maybe make your own conclusions. But if you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Hope the week's off to a good start for you, and I'll see you here in a couple of days. Peace.